The 2009 Kasi reboot Star Trek is honestly one of my favorite sci-fi films of all time. It is essentially just pure fun, yet it still bears all the problems of a J.J. Abrams movie. So today we're going to be looking at 4 steps that we believe would have made Star Trek a substantially better film. Step 1. Rethink the Kobayashi Maru.
Is he not taking the simulation seriously?
Fans of the original Star Trek series and movies no doubt had high expectations for this scene. Jim Kirk is supposed to be a clever leader. He reprogrammed the undefeatable test so that there was a way to defeat it. Now that shouldn't mean that he reprogrammed it so that he could sit around and do nothing for 5 minutes, then suddenly shoot the Klingons and win the whole battle.
Fire on all enemy ships. 1 photon each should do. Let's not waste ammunition.
What it should mean is that he saw the test as a cheat, because he didn't believe that reality ever presents no-win scenarios.
Then you never faced that situation. Faced death.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
And he reprogrammed it to present a fair and accurate portrayal of his vision of reality. A vision that included the ability for him to find an actual realistic solution.
How?
I reprogrammed the simulation so it was possible to rescue the ship.
What?
He cheated. I changed the conditions of the test. Got a commendation for original thinking.
On a side note, the sacrifice of his father that Spock references.
Your father, Lieutenant George Kirk, assumed command of his vessel before being killed in action, did he not?
Only serves to prove Kirk's point of view, because his father would obviously have considered saving Kirk's life and that of his mother as a win. Step 2. Work out the plot holes. J.J. Abrams is a director who constantly chooses style over substance. He'd rather something be flashy than make sense, and he even intentionally removes information from movies such as this one and Star Wars The Force Awakens to make them flow better. But the problem is, this leaves his films as full of holes as Swiss cheese. For example, if the Enterprise was only several seconds behind the rest of the Armada, how did Nero have time to destroy them all before they arrived? In another scene, his torpedoes take so long to travel between his ship and his target that the Enterprise has the opportunity to warp in and shoot them all down. And if the Enterprise came to an emergency stop, how did they end up in the middle of the debris field? Was their original plan to fly right into the other ships of the Armada? Or even just pass Vulcan completely? If Vulcan was close enough to be reached in under 5 minutes, then how did they have no idea of what was going on there?
At 2200 hours, telemetry detected an anomaly in the neutral zone.
That's nearly close enough that someone could have just pulled out a telescope, aimed it at Vulcan, and figured more out than what they had to go on. And why did the Narada have to drill all the way to the center of the planet in order to ignite the red matter, when later on in the movie a simple shipwreck ignites it? There are so many plot holes in this movie that I've decided to start a new segment on my channel just to list them all out. So how could this problem be fixed? How about we say the Enterprise was on an assignment hours away when Vulcan issued their distress signal. Every member of the main cast was already on the ship as officers, not cadets but officers. And by the time they finally made it to Vulcan, the rest of the Starfleet ships had been destroyed. The Narada had to drill to the center of the planet because only the planet's core, or a high-powered energy blast fired from point-blank range, could ignite the red matter. And of course we all know that their goal was not a suicide mission, so drilling down to the core was their only option. Now those are just the plot holes found in 5 minutes of this movie. and all it took was a couple extra seconds of foresight to solve them. Step 3. Know how Starfleet works. Now this is very close in line with Step 2. Even without the concept of money in the future, an organization would never send out a single one of their highly advanced ships without a very, very long line of succession. If the captain is indisposed, he is replaced by the first officer. If the first officer is indisposed, that's right, the rest of the crew just sit around saying, "What do we do now?"
Now we've got no captain and no goddamn first officer to replace him.
Heh, just kidding. There are commanders, lieutenants, and ensigns that would all take control of the ship in a line of succession. A stowaway would not gain control of the ship in any situation whatsoever. Also, when the captain is indisposed, that in no way means that another officer becomes the new captain.
And I'm not the captain. You are.
They are not captains because they lack the rank of captain within the Starfleet organization. They are commanders or lieutenants or ensigns who are in command of the ship.
You're captain now, Mr. Kirk.
So then, how could Kirk become in command of the Enterprise in this movie? Well, if the movie wasn't in such a rush, they could have a quick montage demonstrating that he worked very hard for the privilege. He proved his leadership potential and ability to overcome obstacles all the way from the Kobayashi Maru to present day. And that doesn't mean that he wouldn't have a character arc in this film. It would be super easy, barely an inconvenience, to give him a new and better arc. Perhaps revolving around him learning to work as a team rather than going solo, or learning to trust a Vulcan. The list goes on. And that leads us right into the next step. Step 4. Give Kirk a more satisfying character arc. Kirk in this movie essentially learns that cheating always pays off and is always rewarded. Now that is not a good lesson to learn. In fact, you could even argue that his character arc is a negative one, where the person he becomes is worse than the one he is to start off, even though we as the audience are meant to believe that what he did was actually right. Of course, his character arc picks up in the same place in the next film, with him learning the lesson that he can't just cheat the system all the time with impunity. But that arc makes even less sense because he's getting into trouble.
You think the rules don't apply to you because you disagree with them.
That's why you talked me into signing up in the first place. That's why you gave me your shit.
For the very thing he was rewarded for 20 minutes earlier in screen time. Now, as I said, he could have had so many different arcs. He could have been learning to work with a team, to trust in others, to not be racist, or even to show mercy to his enemies. They even show a brief glimpse of that last option in the film itself, when he offers to rescue the Romulans from their doom, only to risk his life and the life of his entire crew by attacking their defenseless ship once they refuse his help. By the end of the movie, we should see Kirk as being a positive, Kirk-like character, doing positive, Kirk-like things to save the day. So how did you feel about the Star Trek reboot? Is there anything you would fix about it? If so, let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you like this video. Check out my website, qjmartin.org, my Twitter, @qjmartin_author, and email me at the address, qj@qjmartin.org. Thanks for watching.